in our witness statement. All welcome, Danielle.
Good evening, everyone. As I stand here, I feel overwhelmed and thankful. I can't believe where this journey started, and now I'm standing here. I'm deeply humbled and honoured to have this opportunity to speak about Sister Clare and my faith journey. Truth be told, standing here is something I never thought I'd have the courage to do. I'm an actress, so that may sound strange to some. But I act because I get to be everybody else but me. Using the stage and characters became a way for me to escape the pain and troubles of my own life. And let's just say, finding Sister Clare has made me face that pain. Through her life, I have learnt true strength comes not from running away, but from embracing from embracing who we truly are and trusting in God's plan for us. This has been a journey of self-discovery, about seeing myself the way God sees me, instead of listening to the voice in my head, the one that was holding the key to my own prison. Sister Clare has made me see myself the way God sees me, not through the voice of fear and doubt, but through the eyes of love and purpose. Her legacy challenged me to stop hiding, to confront the pain I had buried, the dreams I had abandoned, and the wounds I had ignored. Because of her, I no longer wear the mask of another character. I step boldly into my own story with faith, purpose, and courage. Let me take you back to the beginning, before Sister Clare entered my life, so you can truly understand the journey I've been on. I have to take you back to when I was 11. It's here my world crumbled and the darkness got in. My mummy passed away on the 6th of March, 1998, and the grief felt like an anchor pulling me under. At the time, I knew my mummy was sick, but I didn't know she was dying. For about 2 weeks, I hadn't been allowed to visit her. I was told that she needed to rest. Then came the morning of the 5th of March. I woke up confused, wondering why I wasn't at school. My granny told me we had slept in and my daddy had just come home from the hospital. He went to bed to get a few hours sleep. Then the phone rang. I watched as my granny answered it and ran upstairs to my daddy. In that moment, I felt a paralysing fear, a sinking in my stomach, and I knew something wasn't right. Seconds later, my daddy came rushing down the stairs and crying, saying, "We have to go. Your mummy is dying." The words didn't make sense, and my mind refused to accept it because I thought she was getting better. All I remember is us getting into the car, crying, breaking every red light to get to my mummy. And when we got to the hospital, my whole family was there. I was told before going in to see my mummy not to cry because she could still hear everything. When I walked into that room, my heart sank. She couldn't see me, or she couldn't hear, or I couldn't talk to her. When I was there, I couldn't stop crying, so I had to leave the room. I walked around the hospital crying, and strangers kept asking me, "Are you lost? Are you okay?" But how do you explain that your whole world's slipping away? And that's the day that I lost myself. I had no closure and no time to tell my mummy how much I loved her, or to hear how much she loved me, and as a child that weighed very heavy on my heart. It pulled me under. My mummy was our lighthouse, and without her, my daddy, my 2 brothers and me suffered greatly. We were broken, lost in our own pain, unable to handle our own emotions, and unable to communicate to each other. Each of us retreated into our own vices, and these vices brought temporary comfort, but in the end they led us deeper into despair. We were separated in our grief instead of being united in it. In my brokenness, I started to hide. First from my family, and then from the world. I wore a mask, pretending everything was fine, and slowly I withdrew into my room, which became my safe place, but also my decline. Depression crept in, and I built walls around myself. Walls that not only kept people out, but also blocked me from becoming who God intended me to be. Everything felt out of control, and the voice in my head, telling me that I wasn't good enough, grew louder. My self-worth hit rock bottom, and I developed an eating disorder. I was around 6.5 stone, and this was my way of trying to control a life that was so out of control. I was lost, lying to myself and to others. I'm okay. I feel great. There's nothing wrong with me. Saying I was fine when inside I was breaking. Anxiety gripped me. Simple things like conversations became overwhelming, and alcohol became my crutch. I'd tell myself just one: to face the world, to get on stage, to pretend I was okay. I wasn't just performing on stage, I was performing in real life as well. Through it all, one thing that's always mattered to me, and still does to this day, is my family. I became fixated on fixing us, holding on to the hope that if I could just keep us together, everything would feel better. I spent so much time trying to be the glue that I forgot to build a life of my own. You know, I used to dream of becoming a mother, and that's something that I've struggled to admit to myself and to others until now. I'm free. I don't need anyone. My way of protecting myself. What I've learnt is this: I'm afraid of being loved, of being vulnerable, but I know Rome wasn't built in a day. I was lost and disconnected from everything, and I remember crying out to God, I can't do this anymore. I don't know who I am. I don't know where I belong. And I'm surrounded by people, yet I feel so alone. And when I thought no one could hear me, no one could help me or understand me, He did. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and save those who are crushed in spirit, Psalm 34:18. I often say, when I had no one, I had God. It was in those raw moments, alone, and crying out in my room, that I encountered Jesus, and it reminds me of Sister Clare's motto, alone with Christ alone. It was during this time that God began to heal me. It happened through words, poetry. In the quiet of my room, I found a way to speak the truths that I couldn't yet speak out loud. At first, I saw it as just creative writing, but really, it was my soul crying out, my spirit longing to be heard. Each time I picked up a pen, I went to the deepest parts of myself, pouring my heart out onto the page, letting the tears and the words flow. It almost felt like I was in a trance. I was allowing God intimate access to my heart, and I didn't fully understand that until Sister Clare came into my life. My art became my therapy, my antidote, but still, something was missing. As I said, like Sister Clare, I'm an actress, and for a long time, acting was everything to me. I believed it would bring me happiness, that landing a big role or becoming famous would solve all my problems. I was constantly lost in daydreams, imagining all these scenarios were success and the world's approval were the answers. But God had other plans. He wasn't about to let all his hard work go to waste, so who did he send my way? Sister Clare Crockett. It was December 2022. My uncle Emmanuel came running into my house with this urgency, telling me that he was driving down the Springfield Road and it came to him as clear as day. He had to tell me about Sister Clare Crockett. I was thinking, calm down. Who? I had never heard of her. My uncle was a great man of faith, and with that came great wisdom. But in my own blindness, I thought that he was crazy. So I brushed it off, and around 2 weeks later, I was back in my room, and Sister Clare came into my head. I typed her name into Google, and up pops her documentary, All or Nothing. And by the end, I was in absolute tears, feeling something that I hadn't felt in such a long time. It was as if Sister Clare was speaking to me, saying, Danielle, there is more. There's a greater purpose. From that moment, Sister Clare began showing up in my life in ways I couldn't ignore. Pictures, candles, prayer cards, her book, all these things coming to me without me seeking them and without me telling people that I'd already made the connection. It was clear. God was sending Sister Clare to ignite the flame of faith, to be my example, and to remind me of what really mattered. Her joy, her humility, and her unwavering faith spoke to a part of me that I had buried. I found someone who understood me. Sister Clare had run from herself. She too chased fame and excitement, only to find true fulfillment in surrender. Her life became a mirror, for me reflecting back all the parts of myself that I'd been trying to hide. I was running from holiness, from God, from who I really was inside, because I cared what the world thought. But God knew my heart, and he didn't give up on me. He showed me the way. Next thing I know, I'm having my home enthroned to the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary, making them king and queen of my home. That's where I meet Nuala, who noticed the pictures of Sister Clare around my house, and she asked me about them. She told me she knew people in Derry who could connect me with others who knew Sister Clare, and I eagerly jumped at the opportunity. A week later, she phoned me saying, Danielle, you're never going to believe this. There's a guy called Alan writing a project about Sister Clare, and he would like to meet you. So we're going to Derry this Friday. I'd been asking Sister Clare to guide me, to open the right doors and lead me where God wanted, not where I wanted. So I went to Derry, excited to meet Alan, but I found out he couldn't make it. However, I was in great company and heading to my favourite place where I could learn more about Sister Clare. I ended up at Thomas Gallagher's house with Jim Crossan and Nuala. Though we were strangers, I immediately felt at ease. As Thomas spoke about faith and Sister Clare, I began to cry. Not from sadness, but from joy. My heart was on fire, recognising something deeply familiar in his words. Before I left Derry, I got Alan's number and was encouraged to reach out. At the time, I was thinking to myself, and say what? But I did. Instead of showing him my acting skills, I shared my heart, my belief system, through poetry and a monologue I had written. To cut a long story short, we became friends. Alan told me he didn't just see an actress, he saw a writer. He had been praying to Sister Clare, just like me, for someone to help him with his project, and when I reached out, he saw it as a sign. As he put it, and McGuinness came along. We have been working on something ever since. I don't know where this will lead. All I know is that we pray to the Holy Spirit for guidance, and the rest is up to Sister Clare and God. During all of this, I was praying and discerning why everything was happening to me. I couldn't see the bigger picture, and I started to question, God, are you telling me I'm going to become a nun? My Uncle Mano, who knew the real me, often said, "Danielle, God is going to use you in a big way." I always turned to him for guidance, but he passed away in October, and his loss left a void. I was really struggling to understand what God was asking of me. Then, out of the blue, Nuala reached out again. She told me about a Sr.Clare retreat in Derry and said she felt I had to go. At first, I was hesitant. It was the first weekend of December, a busy time of year, but this happened on the night before my Uncle Mano's month's-mind mass. Nuala handed me an envelope with the money for the retreat and bus, saying, "Your Uncle Mano would encourage you to go." The moment she said that, something clicked. No, I knew I had to go. So off I went to Termanbacca. It was on this retreat that I finally received the clarity that I had been praying for. In my room, before Mass with Father Stephen, I asked God, "Are you calling me to be a nun? Is this why Sr.Clare came into my life? Because I really need a clear sign." Then, at the Mass, I felt as if God was speaking directly to me. In his homily, Father Stephen said, "We're not all called to be nuns and priests. We're called to be disciples, to go out and to spread the good news." And then, that's when the penny dropped. I realised God wanted me to combine my art and faith to spread the good news. These were the two pillars in my life that had always kept me standing, but yet felt separate until that moment. Through Sr.Clare, my faith was reignited, and I felt like she was telling me that these two parts of my life needed to work together for the glory of God. That's where my purpose lies. St. Catherine of Siena's words came to me, "Be who God intended you to be and you'll set the world on fire." You know, I thought that weekend couldn't get any better, and then I met Shauna and Megan. As they shared stories of Sr.Clare, the Clare they knew before the world did, I was captivated. Their personalities shone, and I could picture Clare right there with them, laughing and joking. I remember thinking, I'd love a night out with these two. When they finished speaking, I wanted to approach them, but I didn't. I ended up being the first to leave the room, and as everyone gathered around them, I walked down the corridor, but I felt this pull to go back. Nervously, I returned, rambling, thanks, unsure of what I was saying really. It was a brief encounter. I thought they probably thought I was crazy, and they probably still do. Then we were heading out for a walk as part of the retreat. Shauna and Megan drove by, and they were going to stop to ask me something in that moment. But Alan, the writer, who is also a friend of theirs, texted saying, "Did you meet my friend Danielle?" And that's how they got my number. After the walk finished up outside here, I got a message from Megan saying, "Hi Danielle, it's Megan. I hope you don't mind me texting. A few weeks ago, Shauna and I decided to give someone the trip to Madrid with us. As soon as we left today, we knew it was you. There was just something special, and I was speechless. Tears of joy again. I couldn't believe it. Looking back, I know Sr.Clare brought us together. It was all meant to be. Mano, Nuala, the gifts, the connections, the retreat, Madrid. Just months ago, I didn't know yous, and now I feel like yous are family, and I've told yous are stuck with me for life." And then came Madrid, the trip that gave me the title, Adopted Derry Girl. From the moment I arrived, I was overwhelmed by the warmth and kindness of everyone there. Sr.Clare, you, the people of Derry, you've become a big part of my story, and I know it's still being written. Home isn't just a place, it's the people, and I've found mine here. Little by little, I'm realising I had to encounter myself before I could truly embrace the woman I was always meant to be. The woman that I had lost sight of when I believed I was worthless. In running from myself, I was unknowingly running from God. He was always the missing piece. The hole in my heart was a God-shaped hole. We all have it, even if we don't realise it yet. My truth is this. I love Jesus, and I've seen him work in my life. Like Peter, I once denied him out of fear of what the world would think. but now I don't care who mocks me. I'd rather stand with God and be rejected by the world than stand with the world and be rejected by God. Sister Clare, our servant of God, brought the good news to me and to all of us. Christ invites each of us to be reconciled, reminding us that everything in this life is passing and only God remains. God sent Sister Clare into my life at the moment I needed her most. She became the mentor I had been longing for, the guiding light and a woman I had been lacking. She revealed to me the secret to true happiness, which is Jesus. When you surrender to him, you receive a joy that no one and nothing in this world can ever take away. A few months ago, Bishop Donald McKeown called Sister Clare a modern-day rebel. To be a rebel today is to love Christ. Sister Clare gave him everything, surrendering daily with a blank cheque, boldly declaring it is all or nothing. In giving her life completely to God, she found true freedom, and that is the freedom that I long for. I used to be afraid to stand out, to be different, to be judged. But now I see there is nothing braver than standing for truth in the world that rejects it. Nothing more rebellious than loving Jesus when the world denies him, and nothing more fulfilling than living for the one who gave everything for me. The love of Christ sets our hearts on fire, and through him we find the courage to live boldly. And today I have found my courage. Through Sister Clare, I have experienced true love and belonging. For the first time, once a lost lamb, I now feel at home in the embrace of God. I want to end with a poem I wrote around the same time Sister Clare came into my life. Again, I believe this is no coincidence. My poem is called Rebel Heart. In a world that questions, doubts and mocks, I stand as a rebel in the eyes of the devil. For I have an unshakable faith, I'm not ashamed to say, with love as my guide, come what may. Engulfed in the darkness, deception and confusion all around, convincing the world he doesn't exist, he's not here, nowhere to be found. I see him in the principalities, powers and rulers of the world, the tyranny of Satan his power hurled, corruption and empty promises to lure us in, trapped in the spider's web, now his fun may begin. Lost souls being torn apart, distorting the truth like a fine work of art, putting thoughts in our head, I'm not good enough, that's when the going really gets tough. Seeds planted, dragging us deeper into despair. Please tell me you see it, this spiritual warfare. The enemy, here to afflict and distract, using all forms of media, we're under attack, keeping us in a dumbed-down state of fear, scrolling and wasting our time, making us forget about the word and all of the sublime, obsessed with the next trend, conforming to popular opinion, becoming his minion. In a world where trends dictate the day, loving God becomes the rebel's way. Everything's backward. Evil is called good, and good is called evil. The devil, lurking in the darkness, causing all of this upheaval. Take a stand. Let the world call you crazy. To conform is to surrender and lose your sight. But in thinking for yourself, trust me, you shine bright. Let love be your anthem. That's how victory is won. It is finished, he cried out, our redemption won. So on this day, in the quiet of devotion's song, this rebel heart, defiant and unafraid to say, I love God each and every day.